Hello, everybody. It's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Victory at Sea Ironclad, a brand new game which just entered early access on Thursday, February 25th. This game is developed by Evil Twin Artworks and is a new game in the Victory at Sea series, which includes Victory at Sea Pacific. That was the last game of these developers. In Victory at Sea Pacific, you tried to fight through the entire Second World War in the Pacific Theater in real time on a massive strategic map that then allowed you to zoom into tactical battles. I didn't particularly care for that game. I think it tried to do too much. It was too overburdened by its own lack of complexity for one of the most complex conflicts in history. And I also think it tried to compress too much stuff. Like, I'm assuming in gameplay terms, they thought it would be exciting to be able to build carriers in a few days so you could get stuff going and, just fight the enemy really fast. But I thought it kind of didn't work for the way that the Pacific Theater really was in World War II. And so it created this weird game that took place in the Pacific but didn't really feel like the Pacific War. With that being said, Victory at Sea Ironclad, as you can guess from the title and from what you're looking at here, is not about the Pacific War. It is about the American Civil War, and it's really interesting. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a game that says, we want to look at the American Civil War and the naval campaign there and try and put you in the shoes of either the Union or the Confederacy. So if you're the Union, you need to take enemy ports, take enemy cities, you need to take enemy forts, and you need to lock down the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic coast so that the Confederacy can't trade with the outside world. And so to do that, you have to build a massive navy. You have to launch dozens of amphibious bombardments and landings. And I think it's a really active war that doesn't get talked about. When people talk about the American Civil War, they want to talk about Lee, they want to talk about Grant, they want to talk about Gettysburg and Vicksburg. And if they talk about naval conflict, usually it's kind of limited to, the Navy took New Orleans early on. There was the Monitor and the Monitor Merrimack fight at Hampton Roads with the first ironclads, and maybe some stuff, like Fort Donaldson or whatever. But no one talks about, very rarely does anybody talk about the Battle of Mobile or the attack on Wilmington, North Carolina, and the bombardments there, or the continuous naval operations and multiple bombardments and assaults on Charleston, South Carolina. Or, just the numerous invasions and landings, taking Port Royal, the great anchorage on the East Coast, or, the taking of Fort Hatteras and Burnside's initial success with those operations there. And people just don't... This was a huge naval war. The American Civil War, look at the American Revolution. The British attempted to control the American East Coast against the rebels, and they dealt with tons and tons of privateers. And they really struggled shutting down trade. They struggled shutting down smuggling. They struggled keeping their own commerce safe. And it was just a very active naval war. And when you look at the blockades that the Americans had to do in the Civil War, it's not that dissimilar from some of the massive blockades that the Royal Navy had to execute against Napoleon in the Napoleonic Wars. Now, the big difference there is that Napoleon had a massive navy, and the British had to fight several sea actions, large-scale sea actions, and fleet battles. And so it was a very different kind of war in terms of the threat that the French or the Spanish posed to the Royal Navy, in the way that there was never really a threat that the Confederates were going to come out and break the American fleet. But in terms of the sheer scale and the need to shut down huge numbers of ports over vast coastlines, I think that's where there's similarities. And it was something that we just don't talk a lot about in naval games, and we don't see a lot of naval games about it. And so I think you can tell I've been talking for over 4 minutes now. This is a game that I think is really interesting, and I'm really excited to see someone try and model this, because most games on the Civil War only give lip service to it, and I think we far too often ignore it. Now, I'm not convinced Victory at Sea Ironclad does a good job of that yet, but it is very interesting in the way that it attempts to do that. As the Union, you need to take these ports, but there's also sort of a resource management element of the game You need to build up your fleet. You need to trade with Europe, which the Union did a lot of trade with Europe, by the way. Union corn was king corn, right? Like became this thing about, helping feed the British through several crop failures during the war, and that was very instrumental in politics. But then also, dealing with blocking enemy trade and blockade runners. And as the Confederacy, obviously your objective is very different. You need to get your blockade runners out to sea so you can get badly needed resources that you don't build at home, so then you can build your own resources up. I think one major criticism that I think I see in the game is that what the game should reward the Confederacy for is blockade runners bringing resources back that then should have some sort of abstracted influence on the land conflict or on the political situation or on the situation of the Confederate government's, financial stability. And I think really what the game's going to do is it's going to be like, all right, you have more resources to build more ships so you can build your fleet up and you can challenge the Union Navy, which is obviously not even remotely historical. But what the Confederacy could have done if they had been able to break the blockade or have a less successful Union blockade is bring more resources home that might have helped the war on the land rather than or politics on the land or social cohesion on the land. And that's where I think the game probably misses, and it becomes more of a resource management game to try and build your fleet up to fight fleet battles rather than influence politics. But we don't know yet because the game doesn't have the Confederate campaign yet. Right now the game is in early access. It only has the Union campaign, and that's what you're looking at here on the screen. I'm not going to bore you with 20 minutes of me ranting and raving about the war on the sea in the American Civil War. So with that being said, this was taken from a live stream on my Twitch channel. There's a link in the description of my Twitch channel if you want to check more of these streams out in the future. And I just want to hear what you guys' thoughts are about this game. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and step back, jump back into the live stream audio, and I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and continue on our mission of taking the forts in North Carolina along the Outer Banks. Not a war crime, since no war crime's defined yet. I guess, Oak. Damn rebels. How am I doing, Barbados? I think we're doing okay. Okay, so these guys are sailing south. Thanks for the follow, by the way. And Jim Gaguma, thank you for the follow. All right, so I really want to get these guys in to take Fort Hatteras. It seems like a ton of the Confederate trade right now is all going through the inlet here. And also, you only carry so many stores. You do run out of coal. You can see coal is reduced here. You do run out of cargo. You can only spend so many days at sea. So if we can take these ports that allow us to kind of have quick resupply, then we can establish more effective blockades. One of the things the Union actually did historically was they took Port Royal really early in the war, which apparently was this great anchorage, I think just north of Charleston down here. And that allowed them to essentially have a base just off the East Coast toward many of the key southern ports that allowed them to really effectively base ships far from their northern ports. I think Port Royal on the South Carolina coast, I think that's the name of the bay, is one of the best anchorages in the entire United States East Coast, which I think is weird that there was no major port there. There wasn't actually a built-up massive port for whatever reason, but the anchorage itself was great. All right, so we're going to engage another blockade runner with our Gulf fleet. It looks like blockading Havana may have been the right tactic here. Is this another same exact enemy ship? Yeah, it is. All right. Well, let's go obliterate this guy. So Havana is obviously one of the major enemy ports, so we certainly want to try and strangle it. Meanwhile, you can see up here, the Union has 30 ships, 17 ports, 11,000 resources. The Confederates have 37 ships, 73 ports, and 77,000 resources. So you can see, according to the game, quote-unquote, they're winning. So we really need to get to work, reducing their ports. Spain expresses concern. Shut up, Spain. This is an internal matter. Get your nose out of American business. Hey, coffee filter. let's fast forward here. I mean, we're not really blockading Havana. We're definitely in international waters. Oh, maybe we can just obliterate her with one broadside from the Richmond. You fired on a United States ship. Broadside, aye. Crippled. Turrets damaged. She's sunk. Lost foreign trade good. Alright, we got another one, boys. I mean, we're well out to international waters. It's not like we're sinking everything that's, you know, sailing around. Remember the main. Alright, boys. Our fleet is near Cape Hatteras, so let's go. Amphibious assault. Atlantic Blockade Squadron ordered to land troops on Fort Hatteras. Enter combat. Okay. Have I angered the British for no good reason? No, not yet anyway. Alright, so we're about to start the battle. You can see we're coming in line formation. By the way, you can adjust the formation by clicking this button, so we could go from column to line if we wanted. Meanwhile, where is Fort Hatteras? It's behind the bend, so let's sail our fleet here. So you can see this is a little bit of a shielded waterway here, but Fort Hatteras is over here. And you can see the fort has multiple different buildings here. But it has 1, 2, 3, 4 earthworks with cannon. And then it's got some different facilities here. But these are the defensive earthworks that we need to beat down in order to effectively get our troops ashore at Fort Hatteras. Looks like they have 450 soldiers. We've got 700 on our ships. And so, you know, honestly, the lead ships are a little bit weaker. I'm not sure I want to get them too involved here. These gunboats are really not what I want to duel the enemy batteries with. So let's do this. Let's select these gunboats and tugs. We're just going to tell them to, like, form a Squadron B. And Squadron B's orders are going to be to hang out here, while Squadron A with the frigates and sloops is gonna close the range. So it's really easy. You just select the ships and then drag it down below to create a new squadron or a new formation, and then you can see these big, powerful warships breaking off from the rest of them as the gunboats are going to kind of take a more conservative course, and you can see now we've got 2 different formations moving around here. I know we do have troops on one or two of our frigates. We also have some troops on the William Putnam, one of the tugs. But you can see we're going to send here the Screw frigate, the Wabash, the Minnesota, the Cumberland, and the Iroquois, all in on their own. By the way, she's a sailing frigate, but this guy looks more like... Why is she that color? Why is she gray? Gray ships and iron sides, but no iron sides on them. By the way, I love the little puffs of smoke that you see coming out of the stacks here. Nothing quite sexier than ships in line sailing with the steam up, or probably sexier with the sails. All right, so let's close in on Cape Hatteras. Let's deal these Confederates a blow they shall never recover from. Not sure what the range of the enemy forts are. Oh shit, we just collided with our own ship. Didn't look like we did any damage, but we just like swung it around like a... What are you guys doing? Avoid! Avoid! Stein, thanks for the sub there. 12 months. That's a year, dude. Fort Hatteras is scouted. Can we just bombard from a distance? Because that's kind of what I'd rather do. So let's try and get our guns around. All right, attack those medium earthworks, boys. Oh, shit. The Wabash is already taking heavy damage. Engage. Bombard, boys. Bombard. Ugh. Taking damage to this sloop of war, the Iroquois. I don't remember which one the troops are on. Why are they not shooting? Like I... Alright, so we just obliterated that earthworks, or we did quite a bit of damage. The Iroquois is taking quite a bit of damage, but two of these enemy earthworks are on fire. The houses are burning. Just waiting for us to reload, hopefully before we lose any of these ships. It looks like the Cumberland's taking a bit of damage, the Wabash as well. The Iroquois is in serious difficulty here. Forts don't sink. Yeah, I know that, but we can suppress their guns at least, right? Oh, well, that battery just fired on us. And it doesn't look like any of our ships took any real damage there, though. How long does it take to reload your guns, you guys? There you go. Fire on this earthwork. Boom! So these earthworks taking quite a bit of damage. Alright, Fort Hatteras has taken serious damage here. I think they might all be knocked out. Whoops, what did I just do? Alright. They're not shooting at me anymore by the looks of it. Earthworks. These are just houses. Whoa, they just shot at these earthworks again, which I think are already destroyed. That house seems to be the only thing left. So let's go ahead and sail these guys a little bit closer. Hopefully it's not a trick question here. You can, or trick strategy here. You can see our broadside went in again. The Iroquois is suffered quite a bit of damage here. Let's go land to the troops. The troops are on the Iroquois. I don't know if we lost any casualties. If we took any casualties on the Iroquois. The Cumberland also has troops aboard. But we're going to land our troops here. Hatteras, meanwhile, is badly damaged, but I don't want to completely level it because we do want to take it over for ourselves. So I don't know if, like, destroying those earthworks impacts the troops It did say 450 troops before. It doesn't say any now. I had hoped to take Fort Clark, which is over here as well. But with all the damage we took, I'm not sure it's advisable at this time. The Pawnee and the two of our gunboats, it looks like, scouted out that enemy fort here. Doesn't look like they took any damage. But we're moving our ships in to land troops. The guns appear to be silenced. I'm guessing that's why there's smoke over them. Iroquois started with 600 men. Now she has 244. Did she start with 600? I don't think any of my ships had 600. It says 250. 244 out of 250 is what it says. And I think this green bar represents them landing their troops. I don't want to bring the Iroquois into range of Fort Clark, but I am thinking maybe we take Fort Clark while we're at it. I think it's a weaker fort, so it did say we scouted it out while let's take a look at while we land these troops. I want to see what happens here. So you can see someone just shot a cannon, but all right, we've successfully occupied Fort Hatteras. So the Confederacy lost 450 troops, 10 structures razed, Fort Hatteras is captured and heavily damaged. So that was one of our objectives. Objective complete. New objective, capture Fort Clark. What's taking damage? From what? Iroquois looked like she just took some damage. From what? I don't know. All right, Squadron A, less the Iroquois. Let's go subdue Fort Clark. Hatteras, meanwhile, has... well... I don't think she ran aground. Nah, just move here and anchor, guys. We'll repair you after the battle. Squadron B with the gunboats, you'll also, I think, participate in this assault. Doesn't tell me how many troops we have at Hatteras. Just says that we took it. I think it was just 6 sailors dead. Alright, so let's go take a look at Fort Clark. So we had 4 batteries of guns at Hatteras. Oh, this one looks like it has 4 as well. Although light earthworks, light earthworks, light earthworks, light earthworks. So there's 4 enemy batteries, but they're all light earthworks, which means we should be able to raise them pretty quick. 450 Confederate troops garrisoning them. Slinky Ewok, thank you very much for the follow. So I think we can manage that. So we'll get the battle fleet steam up. We also have the gunboats headed out that way, so we'll leverage them for a little bit of extra oomph in the bombardments. I don't know how effective they'll be, but Hatteras is ours. We just need to take the other fort on the island, and then we'll take the Outer Banks defenses, and that should help us shut down the trade that's going in and out of the waters in North Carolina and southern Virginia. One Fort volley might sink a gunboat. You may be right. That's why we'll send the frigates in first. Once the enemies engage the frigates, then we'll go ahead and send the gunboats in. The troops that landed didn't take any casualties because the enemy was already destroyed. Meanwhile, the Iroquois will stay back. She still has her troops on board, so once the enemy forts are silenced, if we don't have any troops left on our forward deployed ships, then we'll bring the Iroquois forward. Meanwhile, you can see here we went from 17 ports to 18. And the Confederacy lost a port, so that helps us a little bit. All right, gunboats move out that way. Squadron A. Keep on keeping on. We're sailing toward the enemy. Gonna bombard them into dust. Now, the operations in the Outer Banks, specifically the attacks on Fort Hatteras and Fort Clark, I believe were spearheaded by Ambrose Burnside, who had a force of, I think, about 12,000 soldiers with him during that campaign. It was a very successful initial campaign for the United States forces, and it did cause Burnside's reputation to really kind of peak, and so was one of the reasons he became a major player in the Eastern Theater as his troops, or as he was pulled back to join the Army of the Potomac. And it's kind of perhaps why he stuck around so long in senior places, was because he did have some initial early successes at a period of time where there weren't a ton of Union successes. I don't think he really became a hero from it, but he was involved, and he had successes that initially appeared quasi-brilliant, in the same way that General Pope had some initial successes along the Mississippi and taking Island Number 10 and some of those missions as well, which helped elevate him to command of the Army of Virginia, which was kind of the Army of the Potomac during the Battle of Second Manassas, and his own embarrassment there. Although at least in Burnside's case, he was always very conscious of his own limitations. All right, let's go attack. What crew number are you talking about? The crew number down here? No, there's no crew number there. Where are we looking at? I don't see a crew number. When you click on a ship, you can see their crew down here. I'm assuming the light earthworks means the enemy cannons will be lighter as well. All right, attack those forts. You might be in range already. Well, they're shooting at you, so I'm guessing you are. Oh, no! Oh! A fire aboard the Minneapolis, or the Minnesota. She's on fire. All right, looks like we already knocked out one of their batteries. Oh, they're shooting again. Man, they're so ridiculously accurate. Then again, so are we. It's just like, yep, that worked. The Minnesota is taking quite a bit of damage here. Uh-oh. Did she sink? Boys, I think we just lost the Minnesota. We lost a frigate. Well, now we have to take the damn... Whatever. One ship is definitely worth it. Alright, so I think all of the enemy batteries, maybe no, this one's still... These guys I think are all destroyed, but this one is... I can't tell if it's destroyed or just damaged. But we did lose the frigate Minnesota. Which, she was historically battered by the Virginia, wasn't she? I don't know if I had any troops aboard her or not, though. Alright, so I think we've destroyed all of their earthworks. So you can see their troop numbers here are declining as we're bombarding these guys. Let's go ahead and destroy more of their fort. What is this guy doing up here? The Wabash really wants revenge, huh? Trying to get yourself killed? What are you doing, Wabash? It's a whole bunch of buildings here. Someone's firing a broadside. Broadside! Woof. Alright. Squadron B. Go land your troops. I know you have some. I can't remember how many are aboard the steamers. So we did lose the Minnesota, but one frigate lost for taking 2 enemy ports, and I think I'll take it. One of our gunboats is still firing. How many sailors? I don't know. I think we lost like maybe 250 sailors or something like that on the Minnesota. Not 100% sure. We're really still bombarding the hell out of a dead fort. It's dead, Jim. You can see Fort Clark's health keeps going down. It's not totally destroyed, but there's no enemy troops left, so we might as well just sail in and take what's left and then repair it. Blinking Duck, thank you very much for the sub there. Tier 1 sub. Welcome to the I don't know. What should my nickname for my folks be? I am the butcher, so welcome to the butcher shop. Give you all different like ranks or whatnot. Subs can be like, you know, grade A meat. All right, I think we're landing these troops, right? Someone's got troops on them in that squadron. Will you guys just save your damn ammo? Stop, cease your fire. You don't need to bombard them, guys. They're dead. Hold fire. Everybody, hold your fire. I'm not even sure who has true. I mean, the Iroquois I think does, but she's way back there. I guess we'll order her. Let's just fast forward time and wait and see who's gonna come up to the beach. Who's still shooting? Aren't you all ordered to hold fire? Or actually, did I order you to... No, I ordered you all to fire at will, didn't I? Oh, no, I didn't. Hold your fire. Minnesota, isn't she dead? Oh, it's the Cumberland. The Cumberland is still shooting. All right, so I think we're bringing troops in. Yeah, we've got troops on the USS Reliance. So we've successfully occupied Fort Clark. So we've captured that. So we're going to go ahead and zoom out here. And so we have taken Fort Clark. We now have new gunboat technology, apparently, because when you take an enemy fort, you level up. So we have the Benson, or the Bienville gunboat. We have the Santiago de Cuba class, the Queen of the West class ram, and the Norwich class. We also have the advanced USS class gunboat, the Miami class, the Varuna class, and the City class Ironclad, the Benton class Ironclad, and the Essex class Ironclads available to us. So there you go. We took 2 forts, you can see here, and the fleet suffered a bit of damage. Meanwhile, I need to repair this fort. Projected battery of 32-pound, protected battery of 32-pound rifled guns. It's going to take 20 days until she's repaired. 20 days until this fort's repaired. We have 289 troops at Fort Clark. We have 200 troops at Fort Hatteras. And we have 211 troops still on board the Atlantic Blockading Squadron. Supply levels. So I don't know if we'll need to bring additional supply forward. Beaufort would be an interesting port to try and take. Only 100 enemy troops there. We probably could with the squadron if we wanted to keep moving down the North Carolina coast and trying to make some progress there. But I think what we'll do here is we'll keep the Atlantic Blockading Squadron here for a little bit while we repair some of these ports, and then after that we'll pull these guys back to repair themselves. How have I found the balance in the game? Because it was appalling in Victory Sea Pacific. Sean, I'm not sure. I mean, this is very much my first look at the game. I like a lot of what I see here. The controls are a little bit clunky, but I really love the idea of trying to tackle the blockading duties in the United States Civil War. It just doesn't get looked at enough. It was an absolutely Herculean naval campaign that is so often ignored by folks. And I think it's, because the idea is like, well, the Confederacy didn't really have any ships. But, like, if you compare what the British did in Europe to locking down Napoleon, yes, Napoleon had an actual navy, like, with full-fledged naval facilities. But just in terms of, like, the sheer scale of needing to take these coastal, just shut down the trade along this vast sea lane, I mean, the British failed to do it against basically no American navy in the American Revolution, and it's different, right? Like, technology had advanced to a point. The Americans eventually in that war got French naval assistance, so it's a very different situation. I'm not trying to say the Americans did a better job in the Civil War. I'm just saying that, like, to actually be able to effectively strangle the South when they had such a huge coastline, that was a very impressive achievement, and was not something that was lightly done. And the Confederacy, I think, was largely skeptical that the Union would ever be able to do it, and they were. And so I think it's a really interesting period that just often gets ignored with the focus on just the Eastern Theater or maybe the West with Grant. But so often people forget about this huge naval operation, which included many amphibious assaults, bombardments, blockade duty, and was really vital in bringing the Confederacy to its knees. All right, so nope, don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and leave these guys here and fast forward a little bit. Let's actually send the Iroquois back. Here. Oh wait, it's going to send the whole thing, isn't it? I have to break the Iroquois out as a new fleet. So let's go ahead and send the Iroquois back to Baltimore, to the dock. Meanwhile, we'll work on getting these guys repaired. You can see the damage 69% and 80%. We'll go ahead and speed things up a little bit. Be interesting to see if the Confederates... Nope. Blockading squadron, turn around. I just wanted the Iroquois to go repair. She only had 62 troops left. So you can see the damage is getting slowly repaired here. Enemy blockade runner, huh? You gonna try and run right past my fleet? Ha-ha! We caught a blockade runner coming back from getting goods from the British, or the Europeans in any event. And we're going to go ahead and destroy her with our squadrons here. Let's go ahead and merge these guys all into one squadron. And now we've got this large Atlantic blockading squadron here, sailing in line formation as the enemy shows up. And they're like, "What? What is all that smoke on the horizon?" "Oh, no, boys. The American Navy has shown up. This was not the situation. We thought we were going to sail under the friendly guns of Fort Hatteras and Fort Clark for protection against the Union, but we didn't know that they would have already taken those forts and they are no longer a safe haven for us. I don't know why I'm speaking like that. That's not very southern of me. I will say that I think some of these engagements with, like, Blockade Runners could get a little bit repetitive, so it would be nice to have, like, an auto-resolve feature. Because to me, the really interesting piece of this isn't just, like, the blockade duty. It's the actual, continual reinforcement of the blockade by taking more and more strategic positions that then allowed you to have more and more effective blockade. But the actual act of intercepting blockade runners, a little bit less interesting. Also, I'm curious if the game, because the game does involve, sending U.S. naval forces to Europe for, like, trade. But I'm curious if you play as the Confederacy, if the game actually has any kind of meaningful, why aren't you shooting? Has any kind of meaningful trade, like rating of Union trade. I would hope so. By the way, I think this guy got bias. God damn it. I just let him sail right by. Frickin' blockade runner, you're too sneaky for me. Oh, I can just quit out and it auto-resolves. Okay. The Confederacy retreated. To where? Ah! Let's enter combat again. Oh, I've got to tell these guns to fire at will, don't I? I turned all their orders off last battle, so they were still ordered to hold fire. By the way, you can tell them to use canister shot. You can tell them to use shells, cannonballs. Oh, I don't want to do canister. Use shells. Engage him. There you go. Boom! It's always fun to watch one of those big ships just roll off a broadside and just obliterate the enemy ships there. So they lose trade goods. So they lose another ship. Although they're building quite a few ships. They're up to 43, so I should really be building more ships. I don't know if the Confederacy really, if it lets them build, like, substantial warships or if they're building all gunboats. But that's something I need to keep in mind, because they're massively outbuilding me, and I need to get back and build some ships here. I've got cash for it. I've got resources. And remember, we're building some ships already, I think in New York, I believe it was. Let's go to the shipyard here. You can see we've got 2 Franklin-class steam or screw frigates that'll be ready here in just a moment. All right, but that's going to do it for this episode, our second video on Victory at Sea Ironclad. Let me know you guys' thoughts if this is something you guys find interesting. You know, we launched some successful amphibious operations. We did lose a frigate, but we did take 2 Confederate ports on the East Coast near North Carolina, so hopefully that's a sign of things to come. We can keep wearing the Confederacy down, taking more of these cities, reducing their effectiveness, getting more troops, cutting down their trade. You know, I think this is a really interesting looking game. Now, I don't know how strongly the Confederates will punch back on us. And I really think this is a game that really needs to build its challenges in ways that don't involve fleet actions, in my opinion. Otherwise, I think the game will quickly go from being a really interesting look at the Civil War, naval war, to something that has nothing to do with reality. But I could see a game deciding to do that for gameplay reasons. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.